Good evening and welcome to the February 26th meeting of the Speedway Redevelopment Commission on this very spring-like February day. It is 6 o'clock. I'll adjourn our meeting. With me tonight is our Vice President, Jacob Blaisdell, our Secretary, Chris Meter, our members, Rhonda Schwartz and Adam Young. We also have our school representative here with us tonight, Eric Roseborough. And at the desk is our Town Manager, Grant Kleinhens. And in the audience, we have our Executive Assistant, Eder Lopez, and our Town Attorney, Mr. Bob Clutter. Good to see you. I have called the meeting to order and confirmed that we have a quorum tonight. Any previous public comment? I don't see anybody in the audience.
And we've received no communications.
Great, thank you. Moving on to our meeting minutes from our previous meeting, January 22nd. Those were previously distributed. Any other comments or edits? All right. Seeing none, I'll go ahead and approve those by consent. Next item is consent of the joint executive session memorandum from the same date. Any other edits, corrections on there?
Nope.
All right, we'll approve those by consent as well. Next is approval of claims and expenses. It's a pretty short one this month, but
it is,
anything that you wanted to point out, Grant?
Well, the total amount of the claims this month is $37,339.94. If you look down the detail, several of those are revolving around the Wilshaw Hotel project, legal counsel, discussion with Bose McKinney as well as Drury Simmons Vornum. There's also, if you'll notice, the big bulk of the expense is the Town of Speedway rent that the SRC has agreed to pay in the amount of $24,000 for the full year. That's always been billed at the beginning of the month or beginning of the year and paid, and so that bill has appeared there. Mm-hmm. There's also a small expense with Veritas on the Gateway sign project. We are nearing completion on that. In fact, it's mostly wrapped up. There's just some minor punch list items and other things that need to be wrapped up.
Great. Thank you for that. Any questions for Grant? All right, seeing none, I will entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the claims as submitted.
I'll second.
Great. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the claims and expenses, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. Next item is our director's report from Grant.
Yes, so I don't have a lot this evening. There's a lot going on. But the main item that I wanted to refer to is, as you know, we issued a statement on Friday regarding the Wilshaw. There is a lawsuit that has been filed by Hotel Equities 33 Degrees against the original owners of that project. We are not a party to that lawsuit. We were not named in that lawsuit. So I've got a 4-paragraph statement I would like to read if that's okay. And I know the SRC and the Town Council has seen this, so I'll go ahead and just jump right in. The town is carefully monitoring Indianapolis Mortgage Holder 1 LLC's, an affiliate of 33 Degrees and Hotel Equities, recent legal action to foreclose on the Wilshaw Hotel site, which is owned by Wilshaw Hotel LLC. The town also is in communication with 33 Degrees regarding the foreclosure proceedings. While 33 Degrees legal action is related to a transaction involving private entities, the site sits at an iconic intersection in the heart of our town. We have a stake in what is ultimately developed there and are committed to being proactively involved in the outcome. Although the town is not a party to 33 Degrees foreclosure action, we have not ruled out legal action to protect the town's interest. Given current market conditions and the pending legal action, the town is currently not moving forward with a short-term loan to Hotel Equities 33 Degrees. However, we may consider these types of economic development incentives in the future. We hope that the foreclosure will be resolved quickly, allowing site redevelopment to continue. It is our understanding from the court filing that 33 Degrees wants to take title to the hotel parcel of property, with the current development obligations to the town still in place, meaning the town would need to approve any changes to those obligations. The town has been carefully evaluating its options to bring a resolution to this project that protects the town and our citizens, and we will continue to evaluate any additional actions necessary as the situation unfolds. So I think that's a bunch of words that basically say, we're not suing, nor are we being sued, but Hotel Equities, who closed out a mechanics lien, in essence, from several years ago when the construction was ongoing, now is asking a judge in Marion County to say they have right to that property in lieu, or not in lieu of, mainly due to them having outlaid nearly $5 million on paying off that lien. That was done to have the project continue with us and hopefully continue through to construction and finalization. Factors came up, interest rates, the economy, costs, supply chain issues, all of those things combined to kind of drag it on over the past 3 years and ultimately lead to where we are today. So I think from the town's perspective, our statement stands on its own. I think it explains what we want to have done with the site. It explains what is currently going on. I've been asked questions like, what else is the town doing? Well, we have talked to other parties over the past couple of years, but when there's a pending lawsuit, litigation, nothing can continue forward until that is resolved. There is a hope that that could be resolved quickly, but what does quickly mean? A month, 6 weeks, a year? I don't know that we actually know. It's really up to a judge in Marion County. So with that, I'll take any questions that you might have. I know I will also be reading this similar statement tonight at the council meeting, and I have received a couple of emails, kind of split on what people think, but I've been sticking to what we have said and how we've said it, trying to explain the process. And I guess my final statement would be, this is it's a bit of a quagmire. I mean, it has been ongoing for nearly 5 years now, all told, and there's just a lot of moving parts. So nothing can be done until some of these things are put behind us, and then we can move forward with whoever that might be. It could be that current developer, if they get title to the property. It could also be with someone else that they agree to work with, or give the project over to, or sell that project. So there's any number of options that could happen. It is a key site in Speedway, Indiana, across from the greatest, and yes, I'll say that, the greatest tourism attraction in our state, and a hotel really fits and works there. A hotel also protects our interest with our bond. We did issue a bond several years ago to do some site improvements, infrastructure installation, and that has to be paid off. That is currently being backed by another party that was party to that deal, and we did a good job of protecting ourselves in those regards. That's why language was put in there to the effect, we're trying to protect ourselves. Whatever we need to do to protect the town, our residents, our investment, we're going to do that. So with that, I'll take any questions that you might have. I've probably said way more than I needed to, but we'll go from there.
Any questions for Grant?
And if anyone honestly wants to reach out, I've responded to several emails today. I don't mind doing that. So if someone has specific questions, I can respond in the manner that I can respond in, though.
No, I think that was a good cliff notes there. I think our hope is that this kind of wipes the slate clean and helps us to really move forward. And, you know, we are committed to finding the highest and best use for this site.
Yeah.
So.
Mention. I appreciate, Grant, you bringing up the TIF bond that's there, because that can frequently be a major issue when a redevelopment project or that kind of development project goes south. And I've noticed that in a lot of our communication, we're not getting into that, which I appreciate gets into a lot of weeds and a lot of stuff that you know, people don't necessarily want to hear about. But I think it is an important point, and I guess I just want to make sure that we don't feel like anything in this lawsuit is going to jeopardize the security that we have behind those bonds right now.
So the answer to that is no. We have had those discussions not only with our counsel, but also with their counsel, meaning Hotel Equities, 33 Degrees, Wilshaw Holding LLC, all those names. We have reemphasized to them our commitments to protect us need to be in place, and we don't believe that that's an issue at all. They have stated as such, and we believe those will continue no matter who owns it or controls it. Those are obligations that are in place. So.
Great. Thanks.
Yep.
All right. Any other director's report items?
I could go on and on, but I will say this, Gateway project wrapping up, the Plaza on Main, I know we've got to figure out a name for that. We've got to do some other things, but it is wrapping up. I know there were some punch list items that were pointed out to the contractor. I hope they have those wrapped up here in the next 2, 3, 4 weeks. I hesitate so much to say a time frame, though. I think if they'd have known it was going to be 70 today and tomorrow and the day after, they might have been out working this week. But it is very close, and that project's moved forward well. I think both the Gateway project, here I'm going to pontificate a little bit, the Gateway project and the Plaza on Main, I really think shows our commitment, as well as this statement. And Speedway deserves to be treated in the way that we expect to be treated when we hire a contractor or pay for bills. And we've had issues with those projects and pointed those out to those contractors. As you know, we exercise the liquidated damages on the Gateway because we're not just going to be told, it's okay. No, you agreed to do it. You didn't. Now they're going to owe us ultimately $12,000 or $13,000. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it is something we did to protect ourselves. The same with the Plaza. We forced that contractor to take responsibility. There was a lot of wrangling between the parties, but ultimately they removed the substandard concrete, reinstalled it. I think it looks much, much better. There's still some minor issues, but we're working through those. I think that shows the town's not going to be pushed around.
And that may not sound like a lot, but that's almost half our rent, as we just saw on the
Sure,
expense.
yeah, there you go. Yeah. I guess I said that only in the
I get
grand
what you're
scheme
saying.
of
Project number.
the project number, as well as the SRC budgets and our debt service payments. But yeah, $13,000 is $13,000.
That's right.
Great. Well, thank you so much for that. We do have quite a few new business items on our agenda tonight. The first one being the approval of the Economic Development Director Agreement. Did you want to give any details on that?
Sure, I will go ahead and give a quick summary of that. I do want to point out at your January meeting, the SRC voted to continue those negotiations after receiving information that is basically contained in this agreement. There was a comment brought up that maybe we didn't have a second with that motion, but I know it was a voice vote and it was approved. And to me, your approval of this tonight, if you do that, really supplants or replaces that vote on the matter. But yeah, this Economic Development Director Employment Agreement was approved by the Town Council. It now needs to be approved by the Redevelopment Commission. Carmen Lethig, she starts on Wednesday. She comes to us from the Department of Metropolitan Development, has worked with Indy for quite a few years. We're excited to add her to the team. I look forward to her experience and background. So this agreement identifies her 3-year term, starting on the 28th of February this year, and it's a 3-year term till February 28th of 2027. There's also under compensation salary of $103,000 per year, payable in biweekly installments. $30 towards the cell phone. That's kind of a standard employee agreement, and then 20 paid vacation days and 8 PTO days. Some of those items were negotiated because that person had other leave built up at other places, and in order to attract the best and brightest, you have to be willing to negotiate those types of items. There are clauses to protect us with confidentiality and non-compete. If in the future that they leave the position, there's also a severance agreement, performance bond discussion. This has been reviewed by our council, approved by the town council, and now we're asking you to approve this evening.
Great. Any questions for Grant? All right, I will go ahead and entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Speedway Economic Development Director Employment Agreement as submitted.
Second?
Great. I have a motion and a second.
There we go.
We will go ahead and vote. Please signify by saying aye if you approve.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. Next item is Resolution 2024-01, a resolution approving single source purchase with Bomar Industries. Bob, would you have something, or Grant?
If I can give
Yep.
like the quick summary, and then you can address the legal issues. So as you know, we did use Bomar on the fabrication of the stage, for lack of a better word, on the plaza on Main. They did a fantastic job. They identified if we're going to do further metal work like we did at the gateway sign in the roundabout, and you guys did approve a design agreement with REA to do that, we feel like getting them on board as the sole source provider of that fabrication of the metal panels, the letters, all of that, we believe that will save us money and time and probably get a better product. So this resolution kind of addresses that matter. It says things like it will result in some savings, both of time and dollars, and efficiencies gained from this single sourcing. Bomar has been very good to work with. They have addressed our concerns quickly and followed through. They were, in fact, one of the ones on that Plaza Park that did everything we asked. So with that, we are asking for that resolution. Bob, if you want to hit the legal side of
Yes, so.
the sole sourcing.
Typically, obviously, this would be something that you would bid. Indiana Code 5-22-10 states that in certain instances, there can be exception to those normal purchasing requirements. And this is one of those exceptions for a single source, or what they often call sole sourcing. And if there is a demonstrated ability to provide either efficiencies or cost savings, hopefully both, then you can avail yourself of that statute. And since Bomar has the ability to design, engineer, manufacture, and install, any of those four things might normally be bid out separately, and obviously that can create some increased costs. So I drafted this resolution 2024-01. In brief, it says the SRC hereby finds the property is located in the redevelopment area, is located within the corporate boundaries of the town of Speedway, and is necessary for redevelopment as contemplated in the project. And B, authorizes the single sourcing for the design, engineering, manufacturing, and installation of the proposed large metal decorative sign for the project with Bomar Industries pursuant to Indiana Code. I'd be happy to take any questions.
I want to add one other clarifying point, and then, so when we do get this design and we obtain funding for the project or identify funding sources, we will hire or bid out the project. We'll have a general contractor. What we will do when we put those bids out is we will say Bomar is the manufacturer and installer for the metal fabricated parts. So we will still be bidding the project out. It will just have a caveat of we want this contractor, if that makes any sense.
Yep.
And that is allowed by state law if you adopt this resolution to allow that to happen.
This is just for that particular provision of the project, which is the metal signage.
Yep. And I apologize if you already said this, but it's a dollar amount cap for doing something like this?
You can have that in your bid, but it's not necessarily required in the resolution.
Okay, understood. Great. Any questions for Bob or Grant?
Not question, but remind me, because I think that Bomar is like one of the top, and they just are very specialized in this type of work.
They're extremely
And,
specialized.
and that's kind of a key for us making this kind of decision on these type of things. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yes.
Yes.
If I remember correctly, REA is recommending this because what we're hoping to do here is so specialized, and because they have that extensive knowledge, they can help us plan for and make sure this is successful earlier in the
Yes.
project instead of.
Yeah, this is
Late.
right. This is their wheelhouse.
And ultimately result in probably lower overall costs because they know how to do that and how best to do that.
And that was based off some technologies that they've got and where they're doing their manufacturing, is what I remember.
Yeah.
Correct.
Great. Anything else? Thank you so much. We will go ahead and I will entertain a motion for Resolution 2024-01.
I'll make a motion for Resolution 2024-01, a resolution approving single-source purchase Bomar Industries.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the resolution, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Next on the agenda is the Speedway Redevelopment Commission and Redevelopment Authority Annual Report for 2023.
Yes, this is a new requirement according to the state. We not only have to do the kind of our annual TIF pass-through decision in June, by the end of June. We also normally do our financial reporting to the adjacent taxing entities. This does not replace that. This is just another step. So it is a look at the finances of the Redevelopment Commission and the various TIF districts that we do have. So after, and there's no action approved. You don't need to adopt this. You don't need to make a motion or vote on this. What will happen is you'll be presented this tonight, and then Jennifer or another representative from the Redevelopment Commission will need to approach the town council and do the same thing. I will help with that. But we'll probably do that maybe the first meeting in March, or we could do it the end of March when you're already here. That probably makes the most sense, but we'll discuss that. So what I want to point out is this is a full financial accounting of the tax increment finance districts, the redevelopment areas throughout the town. They are all listed there. You can see their revenue, their beginning balances at the beginning of 2023, their ending balances at the end of 2024. I'm sorry, 2023, not 2024. So those are all listed there. Our debt service payments, debt obligations are listed, as well as the various bond issues that are attached to those. So there's a lot of good information here. If you have any questions, I can attempt to answer those. But once again, we have checked the box because I have presented this to you and provided this in your hands.
And we actually get this every month as a part of just our
TIF
regular
cash flow.
documents to keep an eye on, so.
So basically, this is a summary of all of those TIF cash flow reports that you do get every month. I think I just sent that out last Thursday or Friday.
No questions from me.
So we don't actually vote on it.
No, there's no vote required.
Okay.
I asked that about 15 times, so, because it seems odd.
Okay, well,
You're just accepting it.
seen it. Yep, great.
Yep.
Cool, looks great.
If you want to vote, that's fine. We
No.
can do it. That would make you feel better.
That's
I
all
vote
right.
that we've seen it.
Yep. Great.
Thank you, Jacob.
Thank you. All right. The next two are kind of similar, but for different properties. So the first one is approval of environmental restrictive covenants from Dotlich.
Yes. So if I could do a summary, Bob, and then you can, sorry, you can fill in. So I was contacted by Praxair, basically Lindy now, about these ERCs, environmental restrictive covenants, because the town has property that is affected by these environmental restrictive covenants. Basically, these resolutions say we're not going to do things like build apartment buildings on there or tear the ground up without replacing it. We can't go down, I think it's lower than 2.5 feet, because you don't want to disturb any of those issues that are on those sites. So Bob, I don't know if you want to summarize anything
Yeah,
else.
so these environmental restrictive covenants are actually pretty common now. I've dealt with them multiple times previously for leaking underground storage tanks and that type of thing. These are two parcels, one of which is Dotlich and one is former Union Carbide Praxair. Small areas along Polko, just north of 10th Street, that were purchased by the Redevelopment Commission when Polko was realigned a little bit, or not realigned, but the curve in it down just north of 10th Street. There's really nothing you can do on those parcels anyway because they're long and narrow. But again, one was from Dotlich and one was from Union Carbide. I believe the Dotlich one was purchased by the Redevelopment Commission in 2012 and the Union Carbide one in 2013. The environmental restrictive covenants just merely state much of what Grant alluded to, that you are restricting any future uses on this property. You can't go out and put in a community garden for obvious reasons. No residential structures of any type. Even if you wanted to, about the only thing you can do is pave them for a parking lot, and that's about it. If you would like, I'm sure Jennifer would love to read through, there's 250 pages of the environmental evaluations, including the last several pages are the overgrown area cover, soil management plan, and things like that. So I will leave these for you if you would like to review them.
We'll get Edgar to scan them tomorrow.
Scan it and send it. This took a little over a ream of paper in my office. Be that as it may, both of the environmental restrictive covenants are identical, and I would be happy to answer any questions, but would respectfully request that you approve them.
I do have a question on the, just the maps that were provided with this. So I'm on the Dotlich property, I'm showing that maybe these ERCs just cover like a sliver?
It's just a long,
Yeah, it's-
thin sliver. It's right adjacent to Polko.
Okay.
Yeah.
.214 acres and .176, so it's very small.
They're very narrow, long, narrow. They're essentially just right-of-way. Or
I understand.
adjacent to the right-of-way. And the same with the Union Carbide one, a little bit farther to the south.
I believe the idea at the time was that they were going to straighten out Polko as it runs in a 10th, and then ran into the environmental issues. So that's why they're just very weird parcels.
Good. Any other questions from the commission?
I just want to double check or reaffirm that these are all restrictive and negative covenants that we're signing on to here. There isn't anything like additional that we need to do as part of environmental work or cleanup or anything. Okay.
No, that's all done by the former owner, and they pay engineering and environmental firms to do this stuff periodically.
Our job is to not permit any activity to happen there.
We're keeping people safe.
Yeah,
Yes.
don't allow a community garden, no agricultural use, don't build an apartment building, so,
Yeah.
but they're so small, you could do a community garden, I guess.
Sure.
But we don't want to do that. So
Not there.
That's really our obligation,
I
yeah.
don't want to eat that.
Right next to it, right next to
Yeah,
it.
right next to it. I wouldn't do that.
Very good.
And I will say this, I know, Bob, you're supposed to be the notary, or at least identified as the notary. Jennifer, you'll probably sign them on behalf of the SRC. If you approve them and sign them, we'll scan those, send them to them tomorrow, and then we have files on this, so we'll retain these documents in those files and put them on our online, we kind of have an online shared folders that we'll keep them in. Hopefully, we'll never have to refer to them again, but we will have them if someone does need to.
Sounds good. Well, I'm going to go ahead, and if I could get a motion to approve both items, if that's all right.
I'll make a motion to approve both items.
Okay. I have a motion and do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the environmental restrictive covenants for both Dotlich and Prax Air, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Both pass 5-0.
And thanks, Bob, for your help on this. I know we've been working on this for probably the last 2 or 3 months, off and on. So they need to get that wrapped up and done, I think, by the end of this year. And they've still got work to do, but this is one step.
Well, give me a few months before I get the quiz. Great, thank you so much, Bob.
You bet.
I don't see anything under old business tonight. Any community events coming up?
Not sure on community events, but I have been reached out about our Pocket Park or the Plaza on Main. So I'm anxious to hear when that gets finished up. They were curious to know when we're going to have some celebratory moment of, it being available, and then also, what that would look like. So there's something for us to keep on the horizon, because the town is getting excited about that.
Yeah. Great.
Centennial Planning Committee is meeting March 7th in this room. So if you want to be involved with the Centennial Planning Committee, show up. We could definitely use the help. And Home Helpers is the first Saturday of April, I think.
6th, I think, yeah.
Yeah, April 6th. There are, on the town website, there are applications for either if you want to volunteer or if you need assistance, so.
And hopefully the weather is as great as
Yeah,
today.
that would be wonderful.
I also know in relation to that, the Solid Waste Management Board is hoping to have the cleanup days like we did last spring. I think they're shooting for the 26th and 27th of April. We're applying for a Keep Indianapolis Beautiful grant just for some of the equipment and protective gear, but they're wanting to do a corporate day on Friday, the 26th. So have corporations volunteer with teams to go out and then have individual volunteers to come out on that Saturday morning. So kind of in the same line as the,
Yep. May will be here before we know it.
yeah.
Great. Well, I will go ahead and adjourn the meeting at 6:30.